Today we're feeling the love with Vogue Portugal, getting snaky with Harper's Bazaar Australia and New Zealand, and hailing a cab with Vogue Brazil. My name is Marco, welcome to the Model Gene, and if you're ready to dissect this month's covers, hit that like button and let's get started on February's Battle of the Covers. Starting off with British Vogue, we have Lea Seydoux. We have Renee Zellweger, shot by Nikolai von Bismarck, and this is really inexcusable. To start with the positives, her pose in this coat works for a cover, allowing the space in between her arms to establish her silhouette, but that is where the positives end. Of course, the most egregious flaw is the over-retouching on Renee's neck and forehead, but also the darkening of her hairline makes it look like she's wearing a hard front wig. I also suspect they darken the corners of the image because her close proximity to the backdrop wouldn't allow for that level of brightness behind her head with how quickly the shadow falls off. The horrible retouching extends to the editorial as well, like this dreadful photo that looks like an AI generation of an Annie Leibovitz photo. Let's pray for a better cover next month. Cate Blanchett covers Harper's Bazaar ESPAñA, and although the cover is simple, it is well executed. The movement in the hair keeps the cover casual and honest, evocative of Peter Lindbergh's work. This cover by Nico Bustos would have fit in with Lindbergh's last Pirelli calendar. Although it is not my favorite cover of the month, it is still well done and a nice portrait. Natasha Polly covers Vogue France, and what was the intended narrative here? From the neck up, she is giving post-chemo ski trip. Neck down is Wasp Mother. I love Natasha Polly. She has one of my favorite runway walks of all time, but this cover is not showing her off. Miriam Leone covers Vogue Italia, and this cover is visually very crowded. The skirt is such a dominant piece. The tower, building, and the fur hat are distracting. I will not be remembering this cover in a month. As a matter of fact, I already forgot it. Vogue Portugal has 7 covers for their passion issue. This cover of Cat Graham is more of an artistic statement than a fashion cover, but I do enjoy the high contrast. I would have gone for a background with less texture, but otherwise I like the image. Her other cover feels a bit off, and although I like the drama of the volume, very fall-winter 1999 Christian Dior, I would have preferred to see more body. Tian Vu's cover is mysterious and fun, but it does look suspiciously similar to Vogue Taiwan's cover story of Nymphia Wind. It is a bit too close to be coincidental. This accessory-focused cover is really smart, so much visual intrigue, we have a naughty narrative, and I love how it fits in with the offerings of this month. Of the 2 black background covers, I prefer the Twisted Bodies of the Boys by Kosmas Pavlos. The shapes they're making are really interesting, and the black background makes them pop. For Alec Weck's cover, I just wish the background was lighter so we could have more tonal contrast, establish her silhouette, and provide more of a visual focus on the subject. I love her outstretched hands and how they echo the design of the dress. Very well done by Alec and the team. Libby Bennett by Glen Luchford for Harper's Bazaar Italia is so cinematic. I really love these covers, especially the portrait. We have the coolness of her skin tone on one side, more gold on the other, and the mood is sexy but dangerous. The one thing I would change in this cover is how her arm and hand are aligned, because a slight hinging at the wrist would better articulate her hand and give the photo more movement. The black and white photo manages to portray emotion even with her eyes being covered, especially in the tension in her hands, but the most cinematic of the 3 covers is this one, which could have been ripped from the film Babylon. Glen Luchford may have gotten too associated with Alessandro Michele's Gucci, but these photos are a departure from that world, and I'm really happy to see this electricity in his work. Anne Hathaway covers W Magazine China by Zhong Lin. I love these covers. Here she is giving the very hungry caterpillar. I love the depth of tone, the texture, how the orange blush and lip work off this beautiful green. The gold cover also plays with texture, but not within an organic fabric. The reflective quality of the dress is visually intriguing, her arms out establish her silhouette, and I like the messy bit of her hair on her face. Zhong Lin is absolutely delivering on these covers lately. Vogue Philippines is once again delivering a fantastic cover, really solidifying their role amongst the Vogue magazines. Many fashion magazines try to emulate the big 4 Vogues, but Vogue Philippines is deliberate in highlighting what makes their culture great without compromising on the fashion. I would not change a single thing here. The cover is colorful but not overwhelming, distinctly Filipino but with international appeal, all around a well-executed statement, and is my pick for the best cover of the month. I'm grateful to have a magazine where I'm actually excited to see their next issue. Troye Sivan covers Vogue Australia with 3 covers, underwhelming in a signature Vogue Australia way. In the seated cover, he should have had his head leaning back against the chair, really sunken in. This doesn't feel natural. The wrinkly cover, he has a blank stare, nothing coming from him or the creative direction. The last cover had the most potential, but a little bit of water on his arm shows their lack of commitment to the concept. He should have been dripping wet, laughing with eyes squinting. The colors are nice and playful. They should have leaned into this. Zhao Wenju covers Harper's Bazaar Australia and New Zealand, and photographer Jacky Tam was very thoughtful here. I like her hand representing the snake with her finger as the tongue. There is a playful nature to the cover. I would prefer if the cover was more warm-toned, but that is just a personal preference. This cover is well done. Camila Pitanga covers Vogue Brazil. I like this cover. The blue and yellow are of course a naturally successful pairing, but what I like most is the way her body is twisted. The angles of her body and the lines created by the ruched fabric take the eye on a journey, anchored by the stability of the background. This cover is much more fun than last month's cover of Alessandra Ambrosio. Numero's 2 covers by Yulia Gorbachenko and Jean-Baptiste Mondino are boring and predictable, saying nothing new or interesting. I don't understand how this magazine will put out covers like this, but still work with Sylvester Mako, like this editorial that would have made for a much more interesting cover. I don't know if the magazine is afraid of progress and stepping out of their comfort zone, but if they're already bold enough to feature Sylvester's work, they should embrace artistry. I would not buy a copy of these 2 covers they released, but these photos as covers would jump out on a newsstand. Print may be nearly dead, but you should make something people want to make the effort in buying a physical copy of. He Kong covers Vogue China. 2 thumbs up here. The pose here is perfect, and not in an accidental way. It was clear that her body was positioned in this way that the leg she is sitting on is parallel to the ground. Her right arm and leg are parallel to each other at that diagonal. The swoop of her bang echoes the contours of this table. Vogue China delivers once again, bravo. Vogue Netherlands has a group cover of the new Dutchies, as they are calling these newer models climbing to the top of the industry, but this cover is bad, 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 despite how beautiful these models are. This looks like a campaign from a pharmaceutical company or a Netflix docuseries on victims of a scammer. There is no fashion here. Of course, there are many successful ensemble covers that are very simple, but their blank faces are lacking expression to show a unique personality. Vogue Czechoslovakia's cover of Camille Chiflot by Pavlos is one of my favorites this month. I normally don't love covers that are horizontal photos rotated 90 degrees, but I think it actually works here because the model is essentially upright. It is a great use of negative space. I like the mix of characters lifting her up, and the tonal range is very balanced here. Vogue Scandinavia reaches a new low with their February cover of the director and star of the film Armand. And this looks like a Tinder photo of a polyamorous couple looking for a third. The look she is wearing is actually really beautiful and could have photographed really nicely if her body wasn't crumpled on these rocks. The lighting is very flat on their faces. They were probably really cold shooting outdoors, hence the uncomfortable expressions. Vogue Scandinavia really needs to step up their game. This is my pick for the worst cover of the month. It is getting embarrassing at this point. Cynthia Erivo covers LUK by Fabien Montique, but the lack of shadow in the background makes it look like she is standing rather than jumping, really neutering the photo. I also wish that her neck wasn't covered by that fabric because it makes her look even smaller, which you don't want for someone who's so tiny. I think Cynthia Erivo may very well be the most talented woman on the planet, but this cover isn't great. Perfect Magazine has 32 covers, and here are a few of my favorites. Adriana Lima by Karen Backoff. She looks angelic, such a testament to the purity of her beauty. Michelle Lamy by Caroline Jacobs feels like the companion cover to Adriana's. Adriana's virginal bride transformed into something dark, mysterious, decaying. I think this portrait is fantastic. Her famous dyed fingers pop against the white sheet, and her presence is commanding. Maria Klauman's cover is one of the better ones, but it does feel too sanitized for my preference. It is all very bright and safe. I would have preferred more drama, a darker mood, more playing with the colors than what was offered here. And that is where today's review is going to end. But for more about the fashion industry, check out the links below. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the covers this month, and be sure to subscribe to find out who comes out on top next month in the Battle of the Covers.